Okay, then we'll move on to old business. 2080 agreement. First item. Do you want to handle this, Adam, or do we? How do you want to? If most of you are like me, I hardly got it looked at it when it came. And Adam called a couple times, and I owe him an apology for not getting back to him about working on this sooner, but I wouldn't have had him made it to a meeting at that time anyway. We were so busy in the field, and I figured Joe probably was. I have looked it over again and noted a few, where some of the changes are. Or if you want to cover them, Adam, or else I'll just kind of point them out and see if there's any more discussion. Or
why don't you do a fine job of it?
Well, on page 1, when we get down to contribution of funds, I guess the couple items I noted, the cost replacing non-depreciable equipment. No, that's the same. What am I looking at here?
They used to say minor equipment supply.
Yeah, this is compared to the old. That's what I got to get the right one I was comparing to out here. Yeah, originally it was the cost replacing minor equipment supplies. He changed that to non-depreciable, which kind of takes care of a little bit of the question on what was maintenance and what's not. And then I think next on item E, the cost replacing minor maintenance of the alarm system, he changed it from paging system to alarm system, so, or vice versa rather. Means we now have pagers rather than alarms, right?
Yep. Could I get a copy of the new updated?
Do you have another one, Adam? Otherwise, I've got my old one here. He can have the one I've got.
I've got an old one. I just want to make sure I've got the one. Does that cut you short? You have a copy? Okay, good.
I mean, the rest of the language on page 1, then I believe is basically verbatim.
Craig had a couple of comments, if you don't mind. Craig had a couple of comments about forwarding things on to the Sac City. And one of the things that I just wanted to follow up in our conversation when you presented that to me, under number 4, if you look at the first sentence, it talks about forwarding to the Sac City. So the Sac City inevitably will be approving anything that inevitably will have to go before them either. So it would have been redundant for us to include that in the language.
Yeah, I say that was in the old one that way and just carried. Okay. Was there something else in that same area that...
That's all. Craig, was there something else? That's the only thing I saw that on your notes.
Right. Just what we had was down on F and G. Was when we were going over this, at the end of that, we were going to put subject to approval by City Council on F, and on G, we were going to put subject to approval by Fire Board. That's just what the notes we had taken when we went over this the last time.
I didn't have that noted, so. That was on F and G?
Mm-hmm.
And of course, as I just stated, if you look at the way it's worded at the top under number 4, the first couple of sentences actually kind of...
But G is kind of self-explanatory to me that would be the Fire Board, just because that's the only ones that have the power to do that, according to this agreement.
Right, and that's what we were talking about. It would be a redundant statement over what's already said above. So it was just a question whether or not we needed to put that in there, and I just wanted to make sure I cleared up Craig's request. Didn't mean to.
Okay, then moving on. He explained in a little more detail than the original agreement that next section on the 3.3 and the 5%. As far as what a capital, kind of defined what a capital improvement was.
I was asked to talk to Colin about getting a proper definition
Right.
to use there, and that language was included in that paragraph.
Go by there, I see no fucking way.
Actually, the next two paragraphs.
I gather that that answers one of my questions. We had said we were going to get an opinion from the attorney again, so I assume
That's
that
included
comment
in
you
those-
have,
That's included in those two paragraphs.
any questions on that paragraph or in the following?
Well, there's something that just typical attorney. It may mean.
You expecting definite answers?
Where was that?
The second sentence down, it may mean any change, alteration.
You just kind of left the door open there.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's a little clear, like you said, I don't know.
I think it would be very difficult for
Well, you
us to
said-
take any type of objectiveness, any type of,
To pinpoint it down any further than that, like you say, I don't know if it's possible.
at some
better-
point reasonable minds have to get together and agree. Either we agree or disagree.
There's more explanation than we did have by far.
The only, when we went over this at our meeting, they would like it in there where it states that any funds left over from the year will be put into the capital improvement. Is that, we didn't see that in there anywhere.
Ooh, I'll have to admit, that's one of the things I remember discussing that. When I just reread this tonight to refresh my memory, I don't remember seeing that in here either.
That's the way it's always been, but I don't know if it's written anywhere.
Right.
It wasn't in the old or the new, and I think I agree that it's something that our guys too thought, so we maybe need to add that.
Is that the way that we have been doing it in the past?
I guess, I mean,
Yes, it is.
it hasn't been,
Not that it's been much of an issue, but yes.
yeah, I mean, to be honest, I had no idea what was being done with it, but just to avoid being Sac Cities, the funds are all involved with Sac Cities, just to keep it from falling into their general fund, any excess unspent. We need to designate this, I agree. So we do need to add that. Now, I don't know where,
I'll be happy to.
Be accumulated, what it was said.
And then the other, which, whether it's in there or not,
That just means it's sending money to them. Right.
Kitty thinks we need to have the capital improvement activity and balance at least a
The
year.
activity is included in the, there is no separation between the two, and if you look at the expenses that I provided. Now, I don't know that you'll see the roof in there, because I don't think we paid till November, and I don't have November's itemization on anything yet. But in the next meeting, you'll see an itemization that includes the roof and the numbers. But I'll be happy to get that. Now, the one thing I don't have for you tonight is I don't have a balance number with me. I actually have it over in my office, but I don't have it with me tonight.
Now, if that's invested, is it local or is that in one of those?
We actually, we have an investment policy, and it requires us to do it in a couple of locations, and that's to meet certain minimum interest requirements. There's actually some standards set by the state that we have to follow.
Okay.
What you'll find is that a good part of that is actually probably separated between several banks, local banks.
but that's not addressed in this agreement anywhere, is it? I mean,
No.
as far as,
No. And to be all honest, we as
I
a
don't know.
city would not want to do something other than follow the investment policy we have set up. We typically, any other agreement or party that we're, or group we are a party of, that's one of the requirements we have is that the investment policy follow ours, because we have to, because of the state.